All right, you guys, we are here. We have Miss KeeKee Kardashian in the back, and we are getting ready to come forward. You know, I play my short intro when we have guests over here in the tribe. So as you guys come in, if you could please just hit that like button. Don't be afraid to drop down in the chat if you have any questions, any thoughts. Go ahead and ask them. You can ask them in the chat. We're going and we're gonna get this party started. Okay. All right, let me get rid of this background sound. All right.
What's going
Hey,
on?
Kiki.
Hey, boo,
How
how
you
you
doing?
doing? I'm cute.
First of all,
Can't
thank
complain.
you so much. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it. I see you giving us
Yes.
blonde ambition this week. Okay,
Yes, ma'am. That's the
okay.
goal.
I see. So for those who do not know, we're going to introduce Miss Kiki is one of the rookie stars of Chasing Dallas new this season. And let me tell y'all the story about my first time meeting Miss Kiki. Okay. I ran into the cast down on their group trip down in Houston. And
Yes.
Kiki said to me, she said, I heard that you are hard on the girls. What you say? You said, I heard you hard on the girls, but please be gentle or something to that. I'm paraphrasing because I don't remember the
Yes,
exact
yes,
words.
yes,
I said, now
yes.
who told you? Who told you I was hard on the girl?
They
I am
said,
not
girl, you be
hard on
going
the girl.
in. They said you go
Listen, the
in. I
funny
was
thing
like,
is, and then Trey talking about something. Oh, y'all don't know who she is, but y'all gonna find out. I said, don't do that. Don't do that.
yes,
But
yes.
I said, don't do that. So, but that was my first time I met the cast prior to, and of course, I didn't know the new people. I knew the old faces, But y'all were on your cash trip, and I was like, I ain't gonna intrude on what y'all have going on, but I want to just come by and just say hi to everybody. And Markel was like, "Hey, Kiki is an educator. He knows what I do for a living." And I said, "Okay, well, we're gonna definitely have to chit chat during the season."
Yeah.
And so I wanted to make sure that I waited to a point in the season where you had some things to talk about, right? And
Right.
so we know you've introduced some things with to us, but let's start at the beginning. Who
Okay.
is Miss Kiki Kardashian, honey?
Oh, so KeeKee Kardashian is a 25-year-old social studies teacher in Dallas, Texas. I know, right? You teach social studies?
Yes.
Ah,
Yes. Yes,
look
girl.
at
When we get
that.
over on the teacher project, we'll dig deeper. Kiki will be a guest with myself and El Teddy on the teacher project. I think we're going to schedule that for next week. So y'all know to come on over to the teacher project. We'll dig deeper into all of the education piece of this. But go ahead.
Right. So, besides the teaching part, I can say that on my own spare time, I end up coming to Texas after leaving Atlanta, and I fell into the ballroom scene. I had an elementary friend who ended up taking me to the ball, and I was like, wait a minute, I like this. Oh, this was really cool. And it gave me a chance to actually, be able to find my femininity and actually know what type of woman I was becoming. And so being in that, going through several categories, now it being a part of my white girl yoga per se, it has been definitely a little fun. So I do my work and then I go have fun. It literally is like a Hannah Montana situation, pretty much.
Okay, Hannah Montana. Hannah Montana. So I know. Okay, we're going to get to that. And say, where are you originally from?
So I'm originally from 30 minutes from the border of Oklahoma from a town called Gainesville. And so
Oh
I grew
wow.
up.
Okay.
It was real
Okay.
small, real small.
Real small town.
And
So,
then, oh, I forgot. Then I ended up moving to Fort Worth. And then when I moved to Fort Worth, that was like fourth grade, all the way into graduating. And that's when I met Trey Howard and other people too.
that's right, because I forgot that too. That first episode, I was like, dang, Trey know everybody. He went to school with every daggone body.
hmm
I mean, was it a performing art school or something like that? I mean, I'm just wondering why was so many people there that Trey knew.
So my middle school, when I met Trey, it was just a regular middle school. You hear Trey speak about his upbringing, and you hear about not only the problems that he's having with his parents, but the way how he grew up. And me and him both can attest to that. I remember us walking from the school to the same projects or the same apartments that we lived in
Okay.
together, and it was like that type of connection. Later on, I ended up going to one high school and he went to another high school. And then that's how he met
Okay.
Winter.
Okay. So I mean, did you reconnect with Trey when you got to Dallas, or was it a surprise when you auditioned for the show? And I mean, was it like a surprise, like I know you, oh I know you, or had you guys already reconnected and you thought maybe this would be a good opportunity?
So I ended up reconnecting with Trey like when I got back, but it wasn't instantly. It was like, I want to
Got
say, me finally understanding the Dallas gay scene. I was doing a ball or something, and this is the same time when Trey was a rookie on the show. When he ended up being
okay,
like a rookie on the show, he
got
came with the I guess you can say the posse to a ball. And I looked, I said, wait a minute, I know that man. And then at that point, it was a connection at that point. But with Eddie,
okay.
Oliver Twist, when I interviewed, we ran into each other and it was like a oh my God moment. So yeah.
Because you knew, okay, so let's get into that. So you graduated from high school in Texas, and then you decided to
Mhm.
go to Morehouse College. Now, that's how me and you are connected because I am a Bennett
Mhm.
Bell and you are a Morehouse grad. And for those who do not know, that is our brother school, Morehouse and Bennett, not Spelman, no disrespect, but that is really our brother sister school. And so when I found out you were just like with Oliver, I immediately connected with Oliver when I found out he was a Morehouse grad. I said, well, wait a minute. So you
Right?
are my Morehouse sister. So
Mhm.
I didn't so great to make that. And I have another one of my Bennett sisters, my little sister from Bennett. She's in the chat, Danny J. She's one of my Bennett sisters. So,
Hey.
so what made you want to go to the house, honey? Because I love me a Morehouse grad, honey.
Ah! So I ended up going to Morehouse because of me touring schools. So I was really going to go to Texas Christian in Fort Worth, and they had like a full ride that I could apply for. And me being a person, I didn't have. I grew up because my mom passed away, my grandma passed away, my grandpa, all the family was gone. So I needed some type of
Oh
way to make sure I
wow.
was going to be solidified in school. So I tried to apply
Sweet.
for the position and it didn't work at the Fort Worth school. So I ended up asking my mentor, and they told me, they said, what school do you really want to go to? And I told them, I said, well, it's either Howard or Morehouse. And me and my brother, my biological brother, the only two who are living with our last names left. And so he was like, Morehouse
Okay.
is down the street, but Howard is a day away if you're driving. And so I was like, well, let me go see
Mhm.
what Morehouse is looking like then. And so I ended up looking at Morehouse. I toured there. I had a weekend experience and I fell in love. It was at that point where I was like, to see Black excellence, see people looking like me who walk like me, talk
Yes.
like me. And then at nighttime, they had like a pageant for Miss Morehouse, and to see them put on their good suits, their good heels, I was like, oh, okay, I can be hood and bougie at the same time and go here. And that's how
Right.
it worked out.
Okay, now there was a very good scene a few episodes ago where you went back to Morehouse and
Yeah.
you were talking to some of your gay kids. And I thought that was a really, really good moment, a good scene. A couple of things you guys talked about. So the one thing you said was that you felt like going to Morehouse may have stifled your evolution into who you are now. Um, am I repeating that correctly? That you feel like
You're
maybe it
right.
stifled that growth?
That's right.
Okay, okay. Was that into evolving into the woman you are, or because did you feel like you could live out loud as a queer person, but you just
Yeah,
couldn't
so exactly.
quite go to that quite evolve? Okay,
hmm That's right. I really felt
Got
like
it.
to answer that, it was like, how can I say? I was able to be my queer self because just to give y'all a history lesson, Morehouse has used to have a law during a time frame that was their school rules that was called the five wells. You have to be well dressed, well spoken, well groomed, well traveled, and I think the last one was like well read. And at that moment, they used that to say this is what our students should actually strive for. The well dressed was a little bit more on the um, heteronormative side. So it was a point where you should only be in a suit or a button down. They wanted the kids to dress like that when they're on campus. And so those policies went away once we got a new principal, not principal, a new president. And when we got that president,
Right.
all the all the people came, all the girls and the boys and the Bristas, they came to the school. We were moving in with crop tops and faux locks and beat faces. You know, it was a point where we were like, this is the place where we can be our authentic self. And I think it was just a point
Okay.
where Morehouse still wanted to showcase what a Morehouse man looked like. So they avoided putting pictures of us on things. They wanted to showcase, on tours, they would try to walk the opposite way. So they wouldn't showcase like the queer students. It was little situations like that
Mm,
where it's like, you guys can be yourself, but there's still, it's not going to be our prime example of what a Morehouse student was. So I never had a problem with like wearing my bundles or things like that, but it was just a point where they did have a policy eventually that said that if you decide to identify as a woman, then you are on the verge of being kicked out of the school. But if
oh wow.
you
Okay.
decide to live your life, if you can basically be female presenting, but if you still identify as a man, you're okay. But as soon as you change your identification, change start physically, your body is looking different now, like with the girls and stuff like that. At this point, you don't align with our mission, so what are you still doing here? And so
Okay.
I was at that point where I was like, baby, my scholarship is here. I need to graduate. Boom, let me go ahead and wear my weave, get my
Got
things,
you.
and go. So that's what happened.
I got you. So once you left school is when you really were able to explore further into your identity.
Yes, that's exactly right. I think in school, to give people an idea, I was like a Uncle Clifford, a Saucy Santana in school. Very
Got
much so
you.
long nails, bundles, a Law Roach from, Legendary. But once I left
Yeah.
there, ballroom showed me what drag realness was like and being able to look female presenting but be able to still be the boy. And then from there I learned that drag wasn't for me and it was kind of eating me up on the inside, having to take off the woman. So then that's when I decided
Oh,
that
I get it.
my life needed to be aligned.
I get it. I get it. Okay.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
I do want to address something, and then we're gonna get into the ballroom and get deeper into chasing Dallas. Last week, I'm just gonna mention it, and we're gonna move on. I'm gonna let you say your piece on it. Last week, there was some, in my opinion, some very transphobic comments that were made in reference to the fact that you are an educator. Somebody made a comment about they didn't think that trans women or really trans people in general should be teaching our kids because it's over sexualizing our kids and it's blah 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 blah. So again, we'll dig deeper into that on the teacher project because we specifically deal with these types of issues over there. But I do want to give you an opportunity to address it over here. Your how long have you been teaching?
I've been teaching with a certificate since 2019. August 2019 was my first time teaching full time, but I've been
Okay.
a early childhood educator, like in the classes, since 2017. So the kids saw the Uncle Clifford and stuff like that too. So
Okay, so you have been teaching as when even when you were, wearing your bundles and your long nails and that kind of thing. Okay. Has that been a has do you feel like that's been a hindrance to you? Um in your teacher journey?
I would say the part that I felt like was a hindrance was probably the non-conforming lifestyle that I was living in the past during my Morehouse experience. I feel like it was a time frame where me being non-conforming at the time, I would put on a suit and then put on a dress, and that was because internally that's what I was displaying at that point. And I think it was more so not necessarily the kids, it was um I guess you can say the
Parents.
staff people, and they won't say things like, "Oh, don't come in here in a dress." It'll be like, "Your dress needs to be professional," like things of that nature. And then I
Right.
do feel like when I moved to Texas, Texas was the place where they were like, kids do not understand. Um, Kids do not understand the difference between. No, what she say? Exact words was someone gave me advice in an interview. They were like, kids will not understand what gender nonconforming is. You have to either be salt or pepper. And I ended up, they were like, and
Oh,
listen, with you being nonconforming at the time frame, you just choose which side you're going to be, you're 60 or you're 40. And so at that point, I was like, well, if I can have my bundles in with a leave out and a clear nail polish, I'll be fine. Like, and I'm not going to even wear a jet black. I'm going to wear like a kinky curly, so it looked like it's my hair type of situation. And that's how it started.
gotcha.
But once the pandemic happened and my transition began, I think that's when my everyday life aligned with my professional life, and I felt perfect and I feel
Mhm.
safe and I feel like everything makes sense because the kids, when I was a boy, they would say Miss, Mrs., and because that's what it appeared to them. But even
Because
though
it
I was
presented
trying to
it.
be masculine to them, it still was like, you're not masculine enough. But now, since I look like the female, look like the woman, the paperwork is the same, it don't matter at that moment. Mama can't tell, daddy can't tell, granny can't tell.
I know that's right. And me and you had a conversation offline. And like you said, any job you apply for and they see that you graduated from Morehouse, it's pretty obvious, without you really having to go deep into it. Okay, like I said, we'll dig deeper into what it's like teaching in Texas under the current climate, being part of the LGBTQ community. We're gonna get into all of that on the Teacher Project
Right.
2.0. So if you're not subscribed, get subscribed and get the notification so you'll know when we schedule it. But it'll be one day next week. So let's get back to Chase and Dallas. Thank you so much for sharing all of that. I appreciate that. So Chase
Yeah.
and Dallas, how did you? What was your process? Did you apply? Did somebody reach out to you? What made you want to do this?
So I ended up seeing the post. The post came up and the post said, "Hey, if you're interested in for Chasing Dallas new season, please apply at this link here." So when I heard individuals saying that they sent in audition tapes, I was like, that don't make no sense at all because I didn't send in no audition tape. So I was like, okay, understood. So when I did the little Google form, turned it in, that's the point where I was able to receive emails. I received the emails and I ended up being able to get a day to interview. And my interview process or my audition was in person. And that's when I ran into Oliver Twist and other individuals. And that's how I was able to get on the show. It was never a point where um, other medias of being able to get on the show, but that was the method that I did. And me speaking to other people who were auditioning at the time frame, they used the same method as well.
Okay. So what made you decide to do reality TV? Like open up your life to this platform, child.
OMG. I was just like, when in Rome, Kiki, what haven't you did? I was my first major in school. Well, my first major in Morehouse was computer science. And then I realized that I was too pretty for it and I was getting people to do my homework for me. So I kind of stopped. And so I ended up going to drama. So I went to drama and I started doing theater and I was getting a concentration in acting. And so from there, I was like, oh no, it's a hit or a miss. Sometimes you're gonna make money, sometimes you're not. So I had to switch it again. But that love for being performative made me end up realizing that KeeKee, you live an interesting life. You do things that people don't see often. There's probably a 1 in 1,000, of some KeeKees out here in the world. So I was just like, well, girl, just do it. Just see what happens. Just do it. And then I also started realizing that a lot of people on the show I already knew in real life. And so I was like, oh, they're not bad people either. So I might as well give it a try and see how it goes.
Right, because that's what I was going to actually bring that up because you also, on top of you knowing Oliver, going to college with Oliver, going to middle school with Trey, you know Robert Ray.
I
So I know
guess.
when you guess. Why you say you guess?
No. I say yes, yes, yes. I say yes.
Oh, I thought you said I guess. I'm about to say, what you mean? So you guys touched on it a little bit on the show, but how do you know Robert Ray? How was that connection?
So I know Robin Ray because of our connection when I was just starting the ballroom scene and the KeeKee scene, and now I was getting my feet wet. So I was like, okay, now I'm ready to take it to the mainstream. That's when I met Robin Ray because he was the first mainstream house that I joined in, and so underneath his leadership, that's when I learned all the things I needed to know when I was already getting the hang of what ballroom was. Only downside is I started my transition at the same time when I joined um, the mainstream. So I was kind of in like a baking stage. And so I wasn't really useful for certain categories that they wanted me to walk because I was still not at a competitive level per se. So we ended up
Okay.
creating bonds beyond the ballroom stuff, but it all stemmed because of ballroom and being connected that way. But sometimes a common hobby will create friendships that can be beyond anything. So
Yeah, because Robert, listen, Robert had your back last week. Robert was on it, and he was defending you all up and through Instagram last week. So we know
yes.
that there's a bond there. Yes, there's a bond there for real. So my first introduction, now I love ballroom. And I have friends who walk balls and things of that nature. But I definitely love, Pose and Legendary. I reviewed Legendary on my channel. I review Pose too. Um, my first introduction to the KeeKee scene was on Legendary with the House of
Wow.
Juicy Couture. I love Lolita Leopard. I've been following her career for
Oh,
years.
yeah.
I love her. And they slayed. So, what is the difference between a KeeKee house and a more traditional house in ballroom? How can you describe that to us?
Hmm. So, uh, instantly when I tell people what the difference is, I always say JV versus varsity. You never wanted to think of it like freshman
Got
versus
you.
varsity because it definitely is still a level of intensity. But it's a point where
Mhm.
when you think about Kiki Sing versus mainstream, it's also a different age level. So the average
Okay.
age for Kiki Sing is between the 17 to the 25 on that's the range of people who are
Okay.
just regular members of the scene. Once you get to that 25 range, you should be already becoming a legend or an icon. And now you're doing like, community work in the scene. Over here in the mainstream, you're probably just a new kid on the block at 24, somebody who just came out at 25. And now, the average age of how many people, they're like 30 plus, 35, or you might have some people who are icons and they're in their 50s or 60s. And I think it's just because of
Okay.
how old mainstream is. Because mainstream is from back when Pose was around, the 70s, the 80s. And the Kiki
Right.
scene is a
Right.
new, more era, like late 90s, early 2000s. So it's just a different spiel per se. I like KeeKee because I have a chance to still be able to join, even though I have a big career and I'm working hard. Compared to mainstream, you have to devote yourself devote more money and do a little bit more time to it because of the intensity and the respect towards it per se.
Okay. So, I mean, so I guess you're at a point where you're getting ready to sort of age out of KeeKee. Do you
Mhm.
feel like you're ready to go into mainstream?
I am. I was once in the mainstream. So after I left Robert Ray's Gorgeous Gucci, I went to Live In. And I was in Live In recently. I recently got put out of Live In recently. But I was in Live In, and
Oh,
when I was there, I was doing good, walking my categories, and I'm winning every time I walked and stuff like that. So I think I'm at a caliber now when I'm ready to go out there. Um, and I think that's where it's going to be. I think I'm doing so much motherly stuff here in the KeeKee scene that I will still be like a mother and helping the youth, like a teacher would. But
mm,
I think over here, this will be where like you said, started reinventing the wheel, getting back to a different type of caliber, and being okay to do so. I definitely think KeeKee scene happens 5 minutes away from my house, but the mainstream
okay.
happens. I have to travel a
Right.
lot of
All over.
places.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, girl, we're not going to act like you didn't just ride past that. Girl, why you get put out of Love In?
I ended up getting put out of Live In because um I think one of my tendencies is that I always make sure I'm strategic in what I say so I can always be right. And I think that's where the situation happened because I don't like to be wrong. And what one situation that happened was basically I ended up leaving. I went to go commentate a ball as a KeeKee um, commentator in St. Louis, Missouri. That was ironically at the same time this episode was being shown, the past episode. So I was even in Dallas. I was in St. Louis working. And when I'm there, they said, listen, we have a mainstream ball the next day. You should walk as a live band. I said, sure. So I go out there and I walk a face, selling the big girl space and stuff. And I win. And so when I win, I take a picture, post it inside the group chat. Everybody saying congratulations, boom, boom, boom. And so the mother of the house, she's known for face. She has won $10,000 before for face. And she said, who approved her to walk this category? I didn't never say she can walk this category. It was that type of intensity. Compared to saying congratulations, hey baby, let's talk about it. She was literally like defaming me underneath my post and then inbox me. And ironically, the inbox happened when I was watching. Um, we had a season premiere in the movie theater here in Dallas. And I was watching the first episode on the movie theater, looking at me and Robert Ray talking. And she was texting me, telling me, yeah, baby, no one told you to walk. You're not allowed to do that. You should have ran that by me. And I remember me telling her, I was like, as a mother, you should have really actually checked on me first to see if I was okay from you disrespecting me and on a public forum. And then from there, you could have told me what we could have did better. I said, but since you want to talk to me as your sister and not as a daughter, then please get out my inbox. And at that moment, I remember, oh, you've been removed. Oh, you gotta go. Da 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 da. And so now I'm KeeKee 007 in mainstream.
Okay. Okay, girl. Thank you for sharing. Oh, that is a lot. And for those who don't know, 007 means you don't have a house affiliation until I guess
Yes.
you make a decision, or maybe you
Are you?
some people stay 007,
That's right.
or you make a decision to join another house. Okay, all right, girl. Oh, well, okay. So let's get into this chasing Dallas situation. Now, you honestly have stayed out of a lot of the drama. You are not connected. Shoot, actually, the most drama you've been in has been offline with this this last
Yes.
week. You have really not your event. You did a chasing ball, right? You did your own
Right. Mhm.
Kiki ball for the chasing. And let me tell you something. And I'm going to be honest with you and say this. I loved your event is probably my favorite event so far this season because it was the only event so far where everybody just had fun. You
Yeah.
know, it was fun. Everybody participated. Nobody was hemming and hawing. Even DeAndre. Everybody just had fun. And
Right.
yeah, at the end, people weren't happy who won, but that's ballroom. Nobody walks. There's never gonna be. Everybody's gonna think they should have won. So that's
Right.
ballroom too. To say, hey, we should have won. They cheated us. Child, that's ballroom too.
Mhm.
But and I said it in my review that maybe because a certain somebody is no longer doing green screens, maybe that's why I enjoyed and there was not a whole lot of shade. But I really thought it was a fun event. I really felt like you
Mhm.
did a good job of infusing what it is that you're passionate about
Right.
and showing us as viewers and also introducing it to your castmates. I know you can't talk about what we haven't seen yet, but what has been your best experience um with the show so far? Like what's been your best experience?
Oh, my best experience with the show would be I feel bad because a lot of the events that was happening was I was out of town competing or working, and but the events that I did get to experience, I definitely would say will be our cast trip that I took. That was definitely a fun time. It definitely made me
Okay, okay.
speak to people that I never spoke to before, and that made me actually get to see them in a different light. Because laying with when I say this, not literally, but laying with people can definitely show you what type of individual they are, besides just seeing
Yeah.
them for an hour or two. So,
Okay. All right. Janae said it was her favorite scene out of all of. She said that the ball was one of my favorite scenes or events that I've ever watched on the chasing shows. So there you go. There you go. People have enjoyed
yes,
the ball. They enjoyed the
yes.
ball. Now let me ask you this: you were at the skirmish down to the colors party, and you were
Mm.
me, okay? Because I'm listen. First of all, the fact that Tedley was hiding behind you when
Ah!
I tell you that thing cracked me up when I saw Tedley hiding behind you in the corner during the fight, child. Now what were you thinking? Like you were like, what in the hell? What were you thinking when that whole situation went down?
So you already know I told you I'm from the hood. Me and Trey from the same hood. So I'm looking at the situation and I'm like, okay, KeeKee, you've seen a couple fights before. Hell, you ever been in a couple drive-bys before. And then doing ballroom, the girls fight there too. We literally just had a fight. Yes, drive-bys. Yes, girl. So when I seen it happening between them and I seen the conversations being happen. And I'm thinking, a piece of me is like, is it happening because the cameras are rolling? Or is this happening because it's for real? But this is the argument. At that point, once
Right,
I
right.
ended up seeing an individual get up, my mental mindset was like, oh yeah, it's gonna happen right now. And KeeKee, you're all the way over here, they all the way over there. Girl, what you gonna do? Run to it? No, you're gonna stand here, and if they come closer to you, then step back. And that's what I did. I
Right.
stood there until they got
Well,
closer,
you couldn't step
and I
back
stepped
too
back.
far because Tedley was back there.
Okay, Telly, I look back,
You couldn't step
girl. When
back
I
too
tell
far.
you, I look back, I said, girl, why you hiding behind me? Girl.
Child, that thing, I ain't lying, that thing cracked me up. When I saw, I said, that Tedley gonna have behind KeeKee. What kind of mess is that? But he wasn't playing. Y'all, neither one of y'all was playing, okay? Because at first you was
Okay.
still eating your daggone food. Finishing your plate. And I listen, I'm gonna finish my plate too, okay?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so what has been what has probably been the most challenging as being a rookie and all that? What has probably been the most challenging thing being on chasing?
Who? I think the thing that's probably been the biggest challenge for me would probably be understanding the that every queer individual has a different upbringing, just like every human does. And the reason why I say that is because I am used to only queer people in Dallas that I have been around most of the time will be the ballroom people. Because, my life is hanging out with the middle-aged women who are teaching and my young individuals who are doing this. So I'm giving the cis lifestyle over here. And then I get to go be a femme queen with the ball and go there and hang out with the butch queens. Knowing that is happening, Chasing Dallas gave me a chance to be around different type of people of the queer spectrum and being okay to understand how they move and maneuver. Because at first it was frustrating. I honestly think I took it too hard. Where, like, the Telly thing, I was like, "You hiding behind me. What did they hit me? You're supposed to protect me." But I have to understand, like, that's not his job. He don't have to do that. He gotta depend for his own self. And so it was moments like that where me being a woman, regardless of the trans experience or not, it was still points where I had to be like, you have to know how to mesh well with different individuals, regardless if you're not in the same circles. Because regardless if you're black and gay, there's still another diaspora of backgrounds as well that you have to go through and maneuver. So that was definitely a challenge for sure.
Okay. Now somebody asked in the chat. Somebody said, "Do you watch other reality shows? Love and Marriage Huntsville, Real Housewives, Love and Hip Hop. Do you watch any other reality shows?"
Yeah, so I definitely watch Love and Hip Hop. No, excuse me, take it back. Real Housewives of Atlanta. Obviously, that's definitely a one for sure. I think it has definitely been a staple of the black pop culture, of their punchlines, their statements, things of that nature. I definitely live for another one of reality shows would probably be I've been watching Baddies South Central, and the reason why I started watching it was
Okay.
because of the adding of the femme queens and the trans woman to the show. But I do also, because ironically, one of the femme queens on the show happens to be she used to be a former GZ, and that was Jocelyn, the light skinned individual. If you ever watched Baddies South Central. And so she used to be a part of my house, my KeeKee house. And so I started watching that as well. And that was pretty good too. So not most of the time I like a storyline because I am definitely a thespian at heart. But reality, I do get into it, but most of it's the common ones for sure.
Okay. All right. We have a few more minutes, so if anybody has any questions for Kiki, we're gonna keep on going. But if you have some questions, we'll take questions. So as I'm watching the show, how do you feel like? Well, let me say this before I ask you that question. Did you watch the other seasons of Chasing Dallas once, either before or once you found out you were going to be on the show? Did you go back and look at the other seasons?
So the seasons that I got a chance to watch would probably be the season right before, and that would be I got a chance to get into season four. I got a chance to get in, and they weren't like back to back to back because I started realizing a lot of people on the past seasons weren't actually going to be returning. So some people go watch the past
Yeah,
and be like,
right,
"Oh, let me do
right.
my homework to see," da da da. But I got a chance to see how it meshed and then to see the differences because I know one thing Markel told me, he was like, we plan on taking a different approach in a different way. And so me looking at the difference from the past to the present, that was more so my watch style, but not necessarily get into the storylines that were at hand. And that wasn't no shade to anybody. It was just more so me wanting to make sure I come with a fresh
No, I
mind
understand.
versus
Right,
thinking about the past.
right. And honestly, there weren't a lot of people returning. We had Dior, Trey, Robert Ray. That might be.
It.
I don't want to say that might be it before somebody be like, but I think that might be it, right? The rest of you guys are
Mhm.
new and y'all are rookies.
Right.
Um, so do you feel? Yeah, I mean, so you almost kind of had, like you said, you almost did kind of have a clean slate. You didn't have a lot of people that were returning. Okay. And 2 out of 3 you knew
Right.
already.
Yeah.
Had
Yeah.
you run into Dior? Had you known
Yeah.
Dior? Because I know
Ironically,
Dior, he's
I knew
I
all three.
at the balls and stuff. Okay. All right, Miss Kiki, you know everybody, girl. You are out there out and about, honey. You know everybody. I know that's right. Well, listen, I told you we were gonna be here long. I didn't want to take up too much of your time. I appreciate you coming through.
Thank
Um,
you.
I don't want to be messy, so I'm not gonna ask you that about your castmates, honey. But what I do want to know is, what more can we expect from Kiki as we go into the rest of these episodes?
Oh. So I would say what more you can see from Kiki. A lot of people have stated that Kiki does stay out of the mess and she stays to the side. One thing I can definitely say is that Kiki eventually starts to have like a voice. And the voice is used, and since I'm known for commentating, I decide to use my voice in the situations at hand in order to make sure that there is still something going on inside of our group. So stay tuned to see how I use that voice, but Kiki does eventually start speaking up.
You know what? That's actually a good question too. So you do commentating as well. How?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess how did you get into that? Because again, another person that I follow is Precious. I love Precious. And when Precious is commentating, I love Precious. So what? Like, how did you get into doing the commentating?
So there's tons of categories, excuse me, in ballroom, and I'm not afraid to try them. And so I started off as realness, doing other things, and commentating was one of them. I was like, you know what? I'm pretty good at this. Let me see how this is gonna go. But it was really just me keying at home. So I have a Ring doorbell in front of my door. And one day I was just coming home and I just looked at my doorbell and I just made a chant off the dome. And then all of a sudden someone took the chant and posted it everywhere. And I remember posting on my page and it went viral. And at that moment, I was like, maybe I got something going on. Let me actually do this. And it has helped me like meet certain people. I had a chance to commentate with Precious. I commentated with Kevin Jay-Z. I commentated with Jack, Gorgeous Gucci, the one who's the co-executive producer of Legendary and on Pose. It has definitely opened doors because I have to realize,
Oh, I love him.
um,
I love Jack Mizrahi.
oh yes, Jack is real great. He is really great, and that was my
I
one of
love
my first
him. Yeah.
fathers.
Yeah, because yeah, yep, yep.
Hmm.
Okay. Now, all right. So, other than Oliver, are you friends with anybody else on any of the other franchises, or know any of the other people on any of the franchises?
Yes. So obviously, people can easily connect two individuals. You take me from ballroom, go to chasing LA. You already know who I'm talking about and how we
Jeremy.
connected.
Jeremy.
Exactly.
Yes, Jeremy. Yeah.
Yes.
And Jeremy just got. Didn't Jeremy just get Icon? What
He
did he
just
just
got
get? He
legend.
just was elevated. Legend, legend, legend. Yeah.
Mhm.
I love Jeremy too. I met Jeremy when we were in LA. We were at the reunion and I met Jeremy and he is really a sweetheart. Yes. Okay. And
Definitely.
he's the father of the Kiki house out in LA, right?
Yes, he is. Juicy. Uh-huh.
Yes. Okay. All right. Very good. Okay. Okay. So you are connected there as well. All right. And we have one more question. Then we're gonna, and I can almost answer this question for Magic User. Magic User says, "Does joining a platform such as this one put your teaching career in danger?" And I'm gonna say no. But I'll let you answer. As an educator, I would say no, but I'm gonna let you answer. They put in parentheses being in scenes with ratchetness and raunchiness. I didn't see that much ratchet and raunchy, but go ahead and you can answer.
Right. I would definitely say no. My answer is no. And the reason why I say that is because of the fact that people will literally think me doing ballroom can already be the same thing of validating, and being a part of that and messing up
Mhm.
my I guess you can say my career. But I think it's more so
Mhm.
how do you yourself align yourself when you're dealing with everything going on? When people see you
Right.
on the screen, what are you doing? How do you carry yourself? And naturally, how you see me in the scenes, that's me day to day. So I think it's a point
Yeah.
where it's
And I
just,
would say you're not really doing a lot of the, yeah.
mm-mm.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, no, no. It's okay. I think it's like a feedback, but you're absolutely right. I'm not doing nothing in the scenes pretty much.
Yeah. Um, hey King Payne. So speaking of other
Hey.
platforms, the official King Payne has dropped down, and whenever he come in the room, he dropped the crowns, honey. Met King Payne in LA as well. And again, it was nothing but love. It was so great to meet you guys. Um, if you were offered a season two, would you come back?
Oh my God. I think I would say yes. And the reason why I say yes is because I would want to be able to show the other layers of my onion because it's more than
Mhm.
Barbara. There is other things that happen and stuff like that, just in my real natural life. I went to on a speed dating and I was like, just imagine if this was like captured and me going on a speed dating and doing these
Oh,
things
that would
like
have
that,
been nice to see.
Right. Me
That would have
now
been
going to
nice to
the
see.
doctor
Yeah.
and talking to the doctor about next possible feminization surgeries. I was like, these are things that would be great to capture.
Now you know what that's definitely, if you're talking about, if it, for season two, definitely those are two very good things to see you dating, because I was actually going to ask about your dating scene, but then I was like, I ain't gonna bring it up. But seeing you out here dating and looking for, Mr. Right, and
Mm-hmm.
again, you still going through your transition process and going
Right.
through, we saw a little bit of that with Jayla on Chasing LA,
Right.
with getting the surgery. So Lauren
Hey,
London go
Tiffany.
through a whole transition, and so I definitely feel like that's something that I think we could see. Mr. Tedley is in the building. Tedley, we was talking about you a few minutes ago now. We was talking about you
Yes.
hiding behind Kiki at that fight now. We was talking about you, Tedley. Listen, that
Yes,
thing
I
crack
had
me
to
up every
double
time I
take.
think about it. Because it wasn't, listen, he wasn't just hiding, he was hiding and peeking. He
Yeah.
was hiding and peeking. But
Yes.
he was cracking me up on that. But yeah, I think that would be cool. Because again, I think that, girl, we too cute to be fighting. I know that's right, Telly. Telly said, I don't fight, I sue. And when he said that, I said, yes. Amen. Yes. Baby, my fighting days are over. Okay. Now
No
now
shame.
Abby reviews. I don't know if you have been watching her reviews, but Abby reviews and her petty Mike. Uh, she say when we together, she always say that I'm the rowdy one, but for real, it's really Abby. Abby is the rah one. I don't fight no more, but I think Abby
Okay.
will. I think Abby will. Oh, she
You
was in here
always need
earlier. She may
one
not be
though.
in here now.
You need one because Robert
You do.
Ray, he
You
gonna
need
fight.
one. You always need one. You absolutely do. You absolutely do. Well, I would tell you this. I really have enjoyed this conversation, Miss Kiki, and I definitely look
Thank
forward
you.
to talking to you more about education and digging deeper into education. When Magic User asked that question, like I said, I don't want to do too many education questions over here because I don't want to be
Right.
redundant. But
Yeah.
one thing that frustrates me, that really, okay, I'm gonna get you, Janae. One thing that really frustrates me as an educator, and my principal, I had a principal one time that used to say this all the time. The students think that at the end of the day, we go into an underground bunker. We stay at the school, we don't go home, we don't have a life. We go into an underground bunker, and then in the morning we just come back, and it's like, no, we do have lives. We go out, and I understand there's a level of respect that people want to have for teachers and stuff. So I mean, yeah, but at the end of the day, we're people and we're living our lives, and I don't think you're doing anything on the show that anybody would be embarrassed about, or that would be an issue. Again, we're
Right.
going to get into the climate of teaching in a state like Texas, and we do understand that there's some other things brewing, but just on a broad scale, you guys, teachers of people, we drink, we cuss, we date, we get married, we get divorced, we have kids, we
Mhm.
work other jobs, we do all these different things, So yeah. Um, Janae wants to know: are there any future educational pursuits? Do you want to be Dr. Kiki any one day?
I literally got that like proposition to me recently. And certain schools would end up like basically paying or like covering it for
Yeah.
free just so they can have, another doctor on the roster per se. And I was just like, is it necessary? Do you need it, Kiki? Does it sound good? I don't know. It's something that I need to think about, but I do see an increase in my field of education and more so in the career wise. Right now, I enjoy being in my four wall classroom, but sometimes it still be feeling like it's glass walls because how principals are sometimes. And so, myself, me having this master, I'm like, I want to use it. And I see myself working in education technology very soon. And I
Mm.
definitely need to go that route, and I think it would be great. And I can't wait to do it. And so
Well,
that's
I
what
might
I've
need
been
to
working
talk
on.
to you, education technology. Yeah, I might need to talk to you, education technology child. So you already have your master's?
Yes, uh-huh.
Okay, okay. We didn't because we stopped at Morehouse, child. I didn't even go no further. That's on me. Yeah. Okay. So listen, yeah, I might need to talk to you about that, child, because we in a whole new world, and I am more than competent, but baby, baby.
I got you, girl. I got
Okay. I'm gonna
you.
say this. Okay. It said, okay, so Tracy says, really be, how I mean this, clear it up for me. Okay. Kiki, you are a beautiful soul, and watching your show, such a beautiful representation of trans black women, and I thank you for that. Okay. So my girl Tracy says, Kiki, you are a beautiful soul, and watching you shows such a beautiful representation of trans black women, and I thank you for that.
Thank you so much, Tracy. I think that was one big thing that I was thinking when I was coming to the show. I was like, so many shows that have showcased trans women, even if they were like fictional roles or reality roles, there's always one like stigma per se. And I was like, oh, wait a
Hmm.
minute. I know there's a couple girls myself who live a certain different a lifestyle, and it's okay on wherever path you go. But I was like, I have to be that reputation and show that, and show that, black girls rock, regardless of where they come
There
from
you
and how
go. There
and
you go.
the journey. So yeah,
And I
thanks,
want to say
Tracy.
too, I appreciate Markel for expanding that as well. Again, there's absolutely nothing wrong with any career, right? You out here, you
Hmm.
making money, you hustling. I ain't mad about it. But it is
Right.
so great to see educators. It's so great to see. We have Tedley, who's a real estate agent, and
Yeah.
we're seeing different things. Astro, I'm going to be interviewing Astro soon, and I know he's in education as well in a
Mhm.
different capacity. Um, and it's nothing wrong with the arts and
Right.
the other areas, but it's really great to see these more traditional, I'll just say it that
Right.
way, careers. And I think that's
Mhm.
also a great vision that I think that's purposeful on Markel's part, and
Right.
I love to see that. The other Janae, I got two Janaes. I got one with an E and one with a Y. I wanted to know, would you ever
Okay.
consider going back to your passion and explore a career in entertainment, drama, acting? I mean, is that something that still interests you?
Yes, it has been interesting. I mean, it has interested me. For example, the jobs that I've been applying for recently have been like, it's a trend going on now where places like Apple Music, Amazon, Spotify, Pandora, I think even SoundCloud, they're trying to find people who can be learning specialists. That's what they're calling it, a learning specialist to work in that field to show them how could they use their platform for education. I was like, well, roll me up in a bow and sell me because at that point, that's something that I want to do. So I think definitely once I get
Hmm.
into the door using the accolades that I have, then I definitely will see myself going into the entertainment. Even myself too, I have to stop myself sometimes because I'll call Markel and be like, hey, I think production should do this, and y'all should add this on it. And I be over here thinking I'm on production myself. So I definitely might be a Mona Scott. You never know. I don't know. I went to school with Mona Scott's
Well, there
son,
you
so
go.
you never
Listen,
know.
child, like I said, you just know everybody, girl.
Yes.
Okay. Well, again, you guys, we're going to dig deeper into the education piece when we get over to the Teacher Project 2.0. I want to thank you so much, Kiki, for your time. Once again, I reached out to you and you hit me back. You didn't hesitate, and we back and forth. And so I thank you for your time. It was a great conversation. It was so great to get to know
Yes.
you better and get to know you on a different level. You know, away from the cameras and everything. I hope you guys enjoyed the interview. If you did, if you could please hit the like button. That is a free way to support the channel. And if you could also go over to the gram and make sure that you are following Miss Kiki. She has her Instagram right up here on the screen. Y'all go over to the gram and y'all follow Miss Kiki. And if you are not watching Chasing Dallas, I don't know what you're waiting for. You better watch Chasing Dallas. It is on the Chasing Reality channel here on Instagram. Oh, Lord, I said Instagram. Here on YouTube. Tracy is dropping the link for both. She dropped the link for the Teacher Project 2.0, and she's going to drop the link for Chasing Reality if you guys don't already have it, or one of my mods will. I appreciate that. If you guys don't already have it. And we will see you on Thursday night on Chasing Reality, Miss Kiki.
All
All
right.
right, y'all. We
Thank
about
you
to
so much.
now look. I told y'all we had a full docket tonight. We'll be back in about 30 minutes to talk about this escape drama, child. We're gonna talk about Tasha, child. We'll be back in 30 minutes. All right. Thank you so much, Kiki. That was